Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to ACEDS Live at ILTACon. Oh, I'm sorry, ILTA-On, the virtual version of ILTA-On. This is a series of interviews we are doing with LinkedIn Live with leaders in the e-discovery and legal technology industry. Today, we are joined by David Horrigan, Discovery Counsel and Legal Education Director at Relativity. David, welcome to ACEDS Live at ILTA-On.
Thank you, Mr. President. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
Let's start with an obvious question.
Okay.
What's your take on this whole virtual conference world?
I'm glad we have it. Obviously, we would all rather be together in Nashville. I spent a lot of time living on the Gulf Coast in Houston, New Orleans, and in Florida. And boy, do I miss the grits. And you can get really good grits in Nashville. But yeah, we'd always like to be there together, and it's just a better way of doing things. But thank goodness we've got this virtual platform, and that ILTA has put on ILTA on minus the C. We're going virtual as well with Relativity Fest next month, so it's a new world. There really are some advantages to it, though. No grits and no getting to have the camaraderie with all our friends in the e-discovery world. But one thing it does do is really open up these conferences to people who would miss out. It's a lot easier to attend when you can do it from your home or your office, and you don't have flight cost, hotel cost, the conference fee, everything else that makes it cost prohibitive for many of our friends and colleagues. So being able to reach a greater audience is a big benefit of the virtual world. And these platforms are kind of cool and fun too.
Yeah, no doubt. In fact, I'm seeing from this morning, just the sessions that I was in, 450, 500 people in a session. You could never do that in a live in-person event. That just we never had rooms that big. So we're getting some value from it. Are we ever going to see our colleagues again?
I know. That is a good question, sir. I certainly hope so. But yeah, time will tell. And I thought that some of the interesting surveys that come out are what's going to happen post-COVID, and will we go back to doing certain things? I thought the keynote was great this morning. When was the last time you shook hands with someone? When is the next time you'll ever shake hands with anyone again? It's an interesting new world.
All right, let's pivot a little bit. What's
All right.
new and different at Relativity?
At Relativity, well, as always, there's a ton of stuff going on. The biggest thing right now in my part of the world is, in addition to speaking on a program with you here at ILTA on Wednesday. We'll get to that in a minute. But getting ready for Relativity Fest. Relativity Fest is earlier this year, and we've got another great judicial panel lined up. Judge Rodriguez and I will be back for our 7th judicial panel. Judge Matthewman from Florida is joining us. Of course, you've seen Judge Matthewman both at Relativity Fest and at the University of Florida Law School's e-discovery conference that Bill Hamilton and Maribel Rivera just do such a great job of putting together. And of course, Justice Tanya Kennedy is going to be returning as well. And I should point out that Justice Tanya R. Kennedy has been promoted recently. Governor Cuomo appointed her to the appellate division, so we're very proud of her on that. Judge Joy Flowers Conti, who's been part of our programs before, and many on the circuit know of her. And we're also being joined by Master Victoria MacLeod of the Courts of England and Wales, so we'll have an international component this year. So we've got 5 outstanding jurists. Judge Nora Berry Fisher, who has been on all of the 6 previous ones, won't be able to join us this year. It was a scheduling conflict, so we'll be welcoming her back in future years. But we've got a great lineup on that, and there are other programs. There's Find the Fish, where we are having security experts come in. Ed McAndrew from DLA Piper's coming in. Our own Chief Security Officer, Amanda Fennell, will join us. And we're going to test the audience to see if they can spot real emails from phishing attempts, thus the name Find the Fish. And we'll have our standard sessions on mobile data, social media, the international panel moderated by Chris Dale with Karen Hardy from McCann Fitzgerald. I could go on and on and on, but we're here at ILTACon, so let's talk ILTA. You and I are speaking on Wednesday.
Yes, we're talking on Wednesday. We're going to do a little litigation support roundtable. Tell our listeners a little bit about what they can expect from the session, David.
There's going to be some interesting stuff. You and I will kick it off. I will do a discussion of the latest important cases in e-discovery law that affect the litigation support community. Then you and I are going to give the industry update, talking about industry events that affect litigation support. Then we're going to go into our breakout rooms, and we'll have interesting technology that will actually put us all into separate breakout rooms. So we'll discuss some of the, as we'll call them, today's challenges, things that make things challenging in litigation support. We'll have a real focus on time zones. That can really mess you up in e-discovery, as you know. So we're looking forward to fun roundtable discussions, and I'm hoping, as you are as well, that we can all have some really good takeaways from it.
Absolutely. Just for anyone listening, we're focused on quality control. That is our emphasis in those roundtable sessions. It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So are you ready for this? We're gonna shift again. This is something we call 4 of this or that, where we ask you to identify your preferences for one of 2 things. Rapid fire, no thought, David.
All right.
Ready?
No thought. No thought.
Okay, ready? Number 1, is tar more artificial intelligence or machine learning?
What the expletive? I guess being a lawyer and not a computer scientist, I would argue that technology assisted review is a form of machine learning, which in turn is a form of artificial intelligence. I'm sure there is a tech dude somewhere or a tech woman somewhere who will say, yeah, Horrigan, not exactly, but at least that's the way I'm looking at it. We're like, gee, Mike, if we're bringing this up, why don't we relitigate the tar wars of a decade ago and just call it all predictive coding?
That's exactly what I was asking. All right, ready? Question 2, hyphen or no hyphen in the word e-discovery? Another war.
You know, I want to keep my corporate communications people at Relativity happy. Our house style is with the hyphen, and if it's capitalized, it is a lowercase e and an uppercase d. And I've said before, we're going to get to the day, perhaps sooner rather than later, when literally all of the evidence is going to be electronic. A lot of it is now, and just go back to those grand old bygone days of yesteryear when it was just discovery, the discovery phase of litigation. Having said that, data discovery is its own big field, and I don't know if we can really get rid of the E or the hyphen, maybe the hyphen, but the E, until we change the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, because we're making a whole lot of references to electronically stored information.
I think that's right. Okay, what's your preference, lakes or oceans?
Man, as long as we can include gulfs in oceans. I mentioned earlier, I spent a lot of time on the Gulf Coast, and now I'm up in Boston on a little island off the coast just north of Boston. So, man, oceans all the way.
Yeah, oceans for me too. I grew up around the ocean. All right, the penultimate question, the most important question of the day: Beatles or Stones?
Did I do a plug for the international panel where Chris Dale is going to be moderating? But we should ask Chris Dale which one he prefers. He would say, "Oh, bloody neither." I don't know. I do not know that. I'm just guessing here. Got to go with the Beatles, man. The Rolling Stones are great, and I almost got to see him when I was an undergrad in New Orleans. Emphasis on the almost. But yeah, got to go to the Beatles, and I'm going to end up in divorce court for this one because my wife despises the Beatles, but I like them.
I was afraid when I asked you that question that you were going to say it depends, but
Not going to go all lawyer on you on this one, sir.
no, I appreciate that. All right, last question. Ready? Tell us about the last book that you read.
You know, it's very funny. I was listening to an NPR show about this book, Say Nothing, by Patrick Radden Keefe about Northern Ireland, and it was very interesting. But I got to admit, I was inspired by the keynote on NASA this morning. So the right stuff, man. If I can get it in front of there we go. Oh, everything's backwards. It's
Yes.
the right stuff. I'm a NASA brat. And of course, a lot of what happened in this morning's keynote was tragedy. It was tragic. And I actually knew some of the people. But nevertheless, it was an uplifting thing talking about the importance of communication. And The Right Stuff is a book I recommend highly. So I'm going to read it. I'm reading it again.
Great. And yeah, if you didn't see the keynote from this morning, I recommend it. It gives some insight into how things were handled around actually projects at the NASA Space Center and across the enterprise there.
Hey, Mike,
All right.
before we go, one thing you asked me what
Sure.
was new at Relativity, and I got so long-winded on Relativity Fest, I cut myself off. Some big news on the product side, if I can do a brief plug, is our new user interface, Aero UI. I think Relativity has always been seen as a power user's product with a power user interface, but it has now been re-engineered. As you know, out of the 1,200 employees at Relativity, a majority are on the tech side, and they have done a lot of work. These men and women have worked night and day for this new user interface, and it's kind of fun. So check out Aero UI. It's still the robust Relativity you've always known, but with a cool new interface.
And I had the honor and privilege of seeing a preview of it, and yeah, it's something to talk about, and we will do that in the future. All right, that's it. There you have it.
Great.
Thank you, David, for joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in on LinkedIn Live. We'll see you around. Be kind to everyone, please.
Thanks, Mike.